Hello and welcome to our Become a Bookkeeper webinar. My name is Amy Copeland and I am the CEO of ICB, the Institute of Certified Bookkeepers. We are the UK's professional membership body for bookkeepers. And I have one of our amazing bookkeepers here with me today. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Millie Goubert. Good morning, good afternoon rather. Millie, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today. Millie Goubert is not just a fantastic bookkeeper working in a business, she is also the ICB Student of the Year. So Millie, you actually won an award for all of your great achievements as a student last year. What did that feel like?
That was a great feeling. I think I accidentally manifested it the entire time I was studying because I just kept saying to myself, like, it will be worth it, it will be worth it. And then, like, walking across the stage and getting the award was just like an amazing feeling.
Oh my gosh, fantastic. So it goes to show the power of the mind is very, very special. There's a picture of
Yeah.
us together. I think I'm almost like smiling my own face off. I was so chuffed to be giving you this award at the Lucre Awards last year. So if you don't already know, ICB runs an annual awards ceremony and it's called the Lucre Awards. And we describe it as the Oscars of the bookkeeping world, which it very much feels like it is, but it's a very glamorous event. And it's really our way of recognizing the amazing work of bookkeepers and students and apprentices and payroll professionals and all the practices and the employed bookkeepers that we have. And there is just such a tremendous amount of achievement going on in our profession at the moment. And one of the reasons we've got Millie here today is to talk to us about why you at home might want to be a bookkeeper, and also to discuss the various ways in which you can become a bookkeeper, because it's not dictated to you. It's actually one of the careers I think is one of the most flexible that you can have. And that's because it's really a career that you can take throughout your whole life and use it to fit around your needs at any point in your career. So let's hear about Millie. So I think you're fairly unique in, if you don't mind me saying, you're relatively young and you're not working in practice. And actually a lot of our members are working in practice. The average age of our members is 38. 70+% of our members are women, so we're very female dominated in the bookkeeping industry. But you have taken a slightly different route. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do as a bookkeeper and how you got into it?
Yeah, so I started bookkeeping in 2020 when I was 20 years old. Um, and now I'm operations manager at TCS Guernsey. So we provide fully outsourced bookkeeping and payroll services to Guernsey, Jersey, and UK customers. So I kind of fell into the role. I applied to be an accounts assistant, not really knowing what bookkeeping was. I thought it was going to be a lot of manual data entry, a lot of spreadsheets, but I was pleasantly surprised when I started in bookkeeping. It turns out I was pretty good at it, if I say so myself. So then I decided to stick around and do some qualifications, and here I am.
We actually hear from a lot of our members who didn't intend to become a bookkeeper. And on the flip side, we've got a lot of members who actually come to this later in life. So they're changing career. And quite often bookkeeping is the thing that, because it provides a distinct progression route into certification and into being a professional, it really appeals to people who want a new career or need a promotion within their current business. And of course, it is something that you can, if you want to, use to start your own business, because every single business in the entire world needs their books done. So what's it actually like being a bookkeeper? Is it all data entry? Is there, what's the kind of fun part of being a bookkeeper from your perspective?
Yeah, so thankfully not it's all data entry. There's a lot of softwares and systems that do a lot of the like repetitive work for you. So it's a lot more fun than that. It's very client facing. Your clients rely on you a lot. It's about understanding people, what they need, supporting them, being able to translate numbers into actions for them that will support their business. So day to day, it's a lot of, problem solving more than putting in numbers into systems.
I love that. So really it's about, you've got to be able to communicate with people, I suppose. And
Yeah,
what I
definitely.
think is really interesting is that actually a lot of business owners find it incredibly difficult to translate, like you said, translate the numbers into actions. And it's very unique being able to do that. So what kind of businesses do you guys specialize in at TCS Guernsey?
So at TCS, we specialize in hospitality and retail. So it's very fast-paced, high-volume businesses who often need the most support. You know, they're working in their business every day. It's hard for them to step away and actually have time to make decisions and review their numbers. Um, but we work with all sorts of different clients, but our specialty is definitely hospitality and retail, mostly because of Tim's background in it. So, you know, if you have that knowledge from past careers and then you go into bookkeeping, there's no reason why you can't choose which clients to work with, so like you know which ones you can support the most.
And what I love to see about bookkeepers is they're taking any experience they've got, or taking, the fact that they live in a sort of hospitality driven part of the world potentially, and using those skills and translating that into the type of bookkeeper they want to be. So you can find employment, you can run your own business, you can work in a accounting or bookkeeping practice like Millie does. And then also you've got that flexibility to choose a specialism or a niche depending on your interest. But hello, everybody that's joining us today. It's fantastic to see Mihal from India, Nyasha from Zimbabwe. We've got some people from sunny old England, let's call it, Maidenhead specifically, London, like myself. I'm in East London. And it's wonderful that an organisation like ICB can bring so many people together from all different walks of life and help to unite you under this common standard of being able to do very practical work for really any business that you come across. And also our qualifications don't just start at bookkeeping and stop there. We also go up to level 4, and we also cover payroll as well. So might you be able to, Millie, just talk us through the qualifications that you did, and a bit about kind of how that felt to be studying?
Yep. So I started with my level 2 certificate in bookkeeping in 2022. So I'd already been working at TCS for 2 years at that point. And then I passed my level 2, and I actually met you at the Accountex show in May, just after I'd done that. And that was kind of a pivotal moment as well, because I realized there was this whole community of ICV out there to support you. So then I passed my level 2. I moved on to payroll, my level 3 diploma in payroll management, which was quite difficult, but I got there in the end. And then finally in 2024, I achieved my distinction in my level 3 certificate in bookkeeping and accounts.
Wow. So distinction is the highest mark you can get, isn't it?
Yes.
And just to explain a little bit more about these qualifications, so we've got a level 2 and a level 3, which we at ICB call our core qualifications. That's really everything you need to know, whether you want to work in employment, in industry, so you could work for any business in the land, or you want to work in a bookkeeping practice like Minnie does, or you want to run your own business. So actually you really do get a very thorough grounding in how to be a bookkeeper. And so we cover sole traders, we cover limited companies as well for that. And a lot of our bookkeepers end up, even if they run their own business, working alongside other professionals who might hand the accounts over to at the end of the year to do the tax returns. But we've also got level 4 as well, which covers tax returns for sole traders and self-employed people, as well as limited companies. And we've got drafting financial statements as well, which is submitting accounts to Companies House. Do you guys at TCS do any of that kind of level 4 stuff? Are you doing tax returns, and are you considering that qualification yourself?
So it's a bit different for us in Guernsey. So Tim can submit year-end accounts for the Guernsey businesses, but I'm definitely going to look at doing my level 4 courses this year, especially with our plans to expand into the UK. It's definitely something that I'm going to be looking at doing, just so we can support our clients with more and grow the business even more.
And you guys you're expanding your business as well in terms of headcount, aren't you? So you
Yes,
started off in 2020 and it was just you and Tim, is that right? And kind of where are you now?
yes. Yeah, so now we're a team of 6, and we're employing another team member at the moment for the EPOS side of the business. But yeah, when I started in 2020, it was just Tim and myself. And as it's grown over time, and as I've studied and been able to support our clients more and worked more independently, it's freed up time for Tim to bring in new clients. And now there's kind of a pathway in TCS where, you can start as accounts assistant, get your level 2 qualification, move up through the business. Hannah, for example, is now accounts manager. She did her level 2. She's doing her level 3 at the moment. So it's quite nice to see there's a pathway for people to follow now, as we continue getting new clients and new business.
It's wonderful to see that progression, I think. And it's brilliant that you're able to use those qualifications to bring your people up. And of course, if you are thinking, whoa, where would I get my first job? I've got no idea, I don't know any firms. That's why we have ICB. So we don't just give you the qualifications and certify you, we actually support you and connect you after you're qualified and also throughout your learning journey. So our members are running local branch meetings around the UK, and those are completely member run. So that's all about best practice. How did I find work? I've got a spare client, you can have them if you want to. And a lot of our members actually go to the branch meetings because they've got work that they want to pass on, or because they want to meet other bookkeepers or graduates. So we've got around 3,200 practices that we support. So these are bookkeeping businesses that are registered with us, and I'd say the majority of them are run by bookkeepers who have taken the same route as Millie and studied with one of our training providers, passed their exams, and then set up their practice afterwards. So if that's what you want to do, ICB is quite unique in that after you've qualified in levels 2 and 3, you are then ready to start your practice and apply for a practice license. So there's no further tests that you need to take in order to get a practice license. And part of that is because we've got a really, really practical syllabus, which will teach you what you need to know to run that business. And once you've qualified, whether you're employed or you're self-employed, if you're a member of ICB, you've got a technical support line as well. So you may have super supportive colleagues like Millie does, but in case you don't want to go to your line manager, or you are running your own business, so it's just you can always call us and say, right, I've got this thing that I've never come across in my qualification, and I've got this a new client, perhaps they're in hospitality, and you're dealing with something for the first time, which is going to happen. You can call us and we can give you that technical support and work through that with you. So you are always going to be very supported. But can you talk to me a bit, Millie, about your training provider? Because we've got some fantastic accredited training providers that are listed on our website. So did that help you and support you in your learning? So you did qualify fairly quickly, didn't you? So what was what was that experience like of actually training? Do you get kind of videos or textbooks?
Yep, so at TCS we use Training Link as our training provider. They were amazing. The tutors are incredible. They seem to work all hours of the day. If you submit like an exam, you get your answers back almost immediately. It worked great for us, especially being based in Guernsey with the distance learning. So you get sent your textbooks and you can do your exams all online. There's no big scary exam halls, nothing like that. You can study at your own pace. You can study at home where you're comfortable. So yeah, we all use Training Link now, and yeah, it's just been great.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Now that we've made all those exams available online, there really is, as soon as you're ready, you can take your exam. So you don't have to wait for us. A lot of exam boards actually have this kind of quite traditional way of doing things, and you've got 3 exam sittings a year, and you've got to go to your local exam centre, which sometimes isn't local. And what we found is that a lot of our bookkeepers are coming at this in amongst all the other things that they've got on their to-do list. So quite often we've got working parents, or we've got carers, or we've got people like Millie who are running a team within a business, and we know you're very busy people, and sometimes who really wants to go to an exam centre and take an exam? It can be a little bit intimidating. So with ICB exams, every single one is available on demand, meaning you pick when you want to do it. They're available every day of the year, and you can do them all from the comfort of your own home if you want to. Now, the final exam, we call it the M8, the final exam of level 3, is an invigilated exam, but you can still do that online. So we use webcams and all sorts of cool technology to make sure that we can make sure that you are doing that exam yourself under timed conditions. And that is how we enable you to qualify as a bookkeeper. So Fantastic. And is it all plain sailing with the exams? I mean, were you sort of getting perfect results every single time?
No, definitely not. I think what you have to remember with these exams is that they're not easy for a reason. Once you've qualified, you can really feel that like reward. You know that you know what you're talking about, and it gives you that confidence. But no, it definitely wasn't plain sailing the entire time. Especially with my payroll management diploma, I did really struggle with that one. But you
Mhm.
get through them. There's time. The tutors support you. ICB support you. There's a whole community willing to help and want you to pass. They're not trying to trick you. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well done. Yeah, so there you go. You will fail on the road to being successful in anything. So these exams are really not something to be worried about. But Ruby in the chat has asked a good question. Is it a requirement to pass level 3 advanced bookkeeping to become a qualified bookkeeper? And if you want to become a qualified bookkeeper, you're going to have to get a qualification. That's kind of what it means. We have a designation which is certified bookkeeper. So if you want to be a certified bookkeeper, you get that from us. And that's in order to become that, you do need to do your level 2 and level 3 qualifications with ICB. There is another route which doesn't involve taking the exams, which is for people who have taken exams with another body. So commonly that's AAT or ACCA, we find. So there's a route in. If you've recently taken your qualifications with them, you may be able to get exemptions from our exams because you've already proven your competence. But also if you've got experience in bookkeeping, and it's the sort of experience that is directly in line with what our syllabuses require you to do anyway. So if you've done the sort of bookkeeping that's covered in our exams, you may also be able to get exemptions that way. There are all sorts of requirements. For example, if you've got experience, you would need to have somebody to provide a reference for you. So it would need to be somebody who themselves is qualified and a member of a professional body. But there are those two exemption routes into membership as well. So if you've got work experience or you've got other similar qualifications that we recognise. So if you've got any questions about that and you think it might apply to you, just give us a call. Our exemptions team is always really happy to help, and they can support you in a non-exam route. We call that exemptions. But otherwise, if you're taking our exams, it's level 2 and level 3 is core. So that's what you need to do to become a certified bookkeeper. And actually, as a QB, a qualified bookkeeper, you can actually just do level 2. So if you want to work in a business, that's definitely may well be sufficient for you to get started. Millie started in a business without any qualifications at all. So Ruby, if you want to work as a bookkeeper, you don't technically have to have any qualifications at all. If you want to be a certified bookkeeper, you've got to take our exams. And if you want to run your own business, interestingly enough, you don't have to be a qualified bookkeeper, but you do have to have a supervision license. So the supervision license means that you are supervised for money laundering purposes. So this is a requirement of the money laundering regulations. And effectively, it's a way of making sure that bookkeepers are protecting the UK economy and not facilitating money laundering in any way, and that if you come across money laundering that maybe clients or businesses are carrying out, you'll be able to spot it and you'll be able to mitigate it. So it's really just a way of protecting you and making sure that you know how to spot the signs of any criminal activity. But if you're running your own business, the legal requirement in this country is that you have you're registered with a supervisory body like ICB. So I hope that answers your question. And you can absolutely access the webinars later if you want to catch up. But just going back to your training provider, you studied with Training Link, which won our Large Training Provider of the Year award last year. And they currently do have a deal on in January. So we'll send you some links about that after this webinar, together with a recording of the webinar. So there is a January deal on reduced rate student courses with Training Link. And also we've got on the chat here Brian McVean, who himself is from one of our other amazing accredited training providers, Ideal Schools. And Ideal Schools also has an amazing January deal. I think you can get up to 40% off ICB student training courses. So definitely worth looking into those training providers as well. And you will learn what you need to know to become an ICB member. So Millie, what would you recommend to somebody who's sort of thinking, is bookkeeping for me, I've heard you say before, you don't have to be a maths genius in order to be a bookkeeper, but what kind of skills do you need? And how would somebody know if they might make a good bookkeeper?
I would say people skills are probably quite important. Your clients are going to rely on you to be supportive. You need to be able to explain to them what their issues may be and have some difficult conversations sometimes. Um, you definitely don't need to be a maths genius. I didn't study maths after GCSEs. As soon as I could drop it, I did. That was not for me at all. Um, yeah, it's not maths heavy. There's softwares and systems that do all of that stuff for you. Obviously, you need to be able to look at numbers on a report and be able to pull out facts from it and be able to tell them where they might be going wrong or what they could be doing better. Yeah.
What kind of software do you guys use, and how kind of easy is it to start to understand?
Yeah, so at TCS, we're quite a Sage heavy practice, but we tend to use the systems that work best for our clients. We also use Lightyear for our accounts payable. So instead of having someone sitting in entering 100-line invoices, we put it into Lightyear and it does all of that for us. And it just means that it gives us more time to look at the numbers, review them, do budgets, forecasts, and spend less time on the day-to-day manual entry that I think a lot of people probably assume bookkeeping mostly is. So when I started bookkeeping in Guernsey, I had no experience with what it was like. I didn't really have any expectations. But I think coming into it, if you have no expectations, you'll really be surprised about the variety of the work you end up doing. Um, with clients, if you have clients that work in different industries or different businesses, you kind of get a taste for everything. We kind of become like a part of their team as well. So it's not just you working on bookkeeping, you become a team member of so many different clients and businesses, which I find really fun.
I think that's one of the amazing things about working in practice, whether it's your own practice and you're the practice owner or you're employed in the practice, there is so much variety because you're always working on a different client. And you guys seem to have so much fun over in TCS Guernsey. If you're not already following these guys on social media, you definitely should. But how does your kind of your personality as a practice kind of shine through? And do you think that's something that means that you get more clients?
Yeah, so I think in general, quite a young practice because we tend to hire trainees and then train them up into their roles. And I think our kind of approach to clients is if they don't want to work with us the way that we are, then it's not really going to be a good match anyway. There's so much work out there for bookkeepers and so much demand that you can be picky with who you want to work with. So I think as TCS, we're not scared to show our personality and show people our values and how much fun we want to have because we know the right clients will find us, whether that be through TikTok or Instagram or how we present ourselves on LinkedIn. But yeah, there's so much demand that you don't have to worry about which clients won't want to work with you because if it's not the kind of client that you would want to work with anyway, there's going to be a bit of an issue there.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. So you really can kind of create the practice that you want to create.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd love to know, you guys in the chat, might you be able to just share with us where you're coming at this and what you're hoping for your career as a bookkeeper? Are you thinking you want to run your own business? Are you thinking you want to get together with somebody else and run a business together? Do you want a job somewhere? Please do let us know. But there are loads of opportunities for our bookkeeping businesses to get together and learn from each other and also meet new graduates, like I said, to hire them as well. One of the big events that we've got is actually at the same time as the Lucre Awards. It's the Bookkeepers Summit. So we run a big annual conference called the Summit, and it's a great opportunity for members of ICB to meet each other, but also as a non-member you can attend as well. And if you're lucky, you'll probably get to meet the brilliant people from TCS. You guys seem to, even though you're based in Guernsey, seem to have no trouble just hopping on a plane and going to all these events. What is it like going to the Bookkeepers Summit? Is it something you might recommend?
Yeah, it's something I would definitely recommend. I think it's a must-do event really for a bookkeeper. I think as a team, we do travel to the UK quite a lot. The travel time is probably not as long as people in the UK because it's an hour flight. But yeah, it is a commitment, but it's something that we're willing to do because we know the value in it. So You know, there's networking, learnings, you can get CPD points. And a lot of the talks are people that have been there and done that, and people sharing their knowledge and wanting to support, you know, the next generation of practice owners and bookkeepers. And the sense of community is just like so strong that it's a really good event to attend.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Community. Yes, I mean, we really are such a warm and welcoming community. It doesn't, even though you might think that you've got loads of bookkeepers, they might be wanting to compete with each other. It just doesn't seem to be that way at all, does it? I don't know if, do you think, Millie, that's something to do with the bookkeeping archetype, the sort of personality type that goes into bookkeeping, or is it just because there's loads of demand for bookkeepers and no one's worried?
Yeah, I think just bookkeepers all seem to genuinely be really lovely people. I think it's probably in your nature. If you're becoming a bookkeeper, it's because you want to help businesses and help people. So the type of person you are to be a bookkeeper just lends itself to being nice and welcoming. And yeah, there's so much demand that it's not competition as such. You know, everybody wants to help each other. People refer clients to each other if it's not the kind of work that they want to do, or if you have questions, technical questions, people are always more than willing to help. So yeah, I think just the bookkeeping community in general is just so supportive and lovely.
The best, isn't it? And just a great place to be part of that community is at the Bookkeeper Summit, but that's only once a year. So we also run all sorts of events throughout the year, webinars like this for our members. So members of ICB get lots of free CPD. CPD, by the way, is continuing professional development. I said that like as if everybody knows, but part of being a professional bookkeeper is keeping your skills up to date. So we do require you to keep those skills up to date. There's lots of ways that you can do that. So we've got technical webinars, a special payroll webinar every month. We talk about money laundering because that is something that you need to be aware of. So how to do your anti-money laundering procedures and how to make sure you're getting that right. And lots and lots of opportunities to meet each other. So I think we do over 250 events for our bookkeeping community. But thanks, guys, for telling me what you're up to. I love the idea of Simon getting together with his wife, who's just been made redundant. Sorry to hear that, but she's SEMA qualified. So you guys are going to get together and do some work. I love that you're going to be doing the book. She's SEMA qualified, but you're doing the bookkeeping and she's doing the other thing. So is that sort of tax and stuff like that? I think I sort of misread that the first time. I thought, oh, what's she going to be doing? Maybe looking after the clients. But brilliant that you've got some skills there, and you've done AAT 2 years ago and it didn't end well. Sorry to hear that. If you have got AAT within the last 5 years and you've managed to get those qualifications, you should be able to get some kind of direct exemptions into our qualifications. Now, with the AAT kind of QB route, the qualified bookkeeper route, it doesn't go as high as a certified bookkeeper route with ICB. So there is a fast track route for you especially, so that you can learn what you need to do to sort of level up to being a certified bookkeeper. But that sounds fantastic. How amazing to be willing to work with your partner in such a way. That's brilliant. Sophie Vaughan, you worked in the solicitor's accounts for 17 years. Well, that's a specific type of bookkeeping, isn't it? So that's very exciting. And Lena Gio, sorry, I don't know if I can pronounce your name correctly, but you're wondering about getting QuickBooks and Xero certified like our Nyasha from Zimbabwe. And we do have some information actually about Xero certification on our website. With Xero certification, I'm a bit more familiar with it, but you actually don't need to be able to use the software. You actually just follow a course and then they certify you at the end of it. So our qualification is unique in that we've got a software exam as part of it. You can use any piece of software as long as it's sort of commercially available. So Xero, QuickBooks, Sage, Free Agent, you can do your exam on that. But it's really important to us that we make sure that you are able to practically apply your bookkeeping skills. And it's very strange to us, actually, we're now the only exam board that mandates software qualifications as part of the route into becoming a bookkeeper. But is that something that you kind of found challenging at the time? Because we've got the payroll is obviously part of that you've got to do on a piece of software. There's also a level 2 qualification where you've got to use software. Did that come as a challenge, or did you see some sort of any kind of benefit in that?
I think so. When you start the qualifications, a lot of the foundation of it is the like why you do things a certain way that you do, and like really the foundations of bookkeeping, and then that gets like transferred into the softwares. So it gives you a really good like foundational knowledge that you can then apply in the softwares, and you'll always be confident in what you're doing because you know the why, not just the how. So I think the software side was a benefit because it's what you're going to be using daily. Um, but you also have the background knowledge that you need to know that what you're doing is right.
So I think once you get your hands in that software, it can give you that confidence that you need, because
Yeah.
certainly as ICB is saying, right, once you're done your level 3, you can go out and run your own business. It's nice to know that you've actually used the tools that you're going to use. Do you use Sage for your payroll and your um, computerized bookkeeping exam?
Um,
Do you
we
remember?
use Sage for the computerized bookkeeping. I actually can't remember who we used for the payroll, but it wasn't Sage. But we were actually mostly using QuickBooks before I did my level 2. But using Sage made us realize how much we preferred working that way, and then we moved everyone over to Sage after that. After I learned how to use it in that way.
It can be, you can get a little bit of analysis paralysis, I think, when looking at these different pieces of software. But we do an annual software guide where we ask bookkeepers what kinds of software they like to use, and we compare the different packages so that you know what features they've got or what features they don't have. But also we do a lot of member-run webinars where people are sharing their top tips and tricks for how to use software, and that's a really good way of trying to find your favorite bit of software. But that may evolve as time goes on, and it may, like TCS, you may find that you can be flexible depending on what's good for the client. So they may all have different needs. Irvi in the chat, I am so pleased to hear from you. You're a mother of 2. Let me tell you that we have loads of parents who come to bookkeeping because they are looking for something that they can flexibly fit around their kids. I'm also a mother of 2. And that flexibility is so important, particularly in the early years, isn't it? But it seems like you're studying, you've done your level 2, congratulations, amazing. Now you're doing payroll, and then you're going to go back to ICB level 3 bookkeeping. If you just want to do payroll for other businesses, you can actually get a practice license after you've done payroll only. And payroll actually is just one exam. It's a really tough exam, like Millie said, and there's a high pass mark like there is with all the rest of our exams, but it is a super valuable service to be able to offer. So that is a very, very good way to run a business and support other businesses like that. Again, every employee needs to get paid. And again, it's something that changes so often. The last budget was just sent businesses in a complete fluster because there were all these changes to NI. And I'm sure you guys in Guernsey, I mean, presumably you have a very complex job trying to understand and translate all these changes across 2 different jurisdictions. I mean, do you find your clients are kind of, do they get unsettled by things like budgets and sort of come to you for help?
Yeah, a little bit. I think in Guernsey, a lot of the time clients will Google, what's the tax rate for this, and they'll just automatically get the UK information. So it's just a case of keeping the Guernsey laws and the UK legislation is very different. But yeah, with payroll, it's constantly changing, constantly evolving. But that's probably why there's such a high demand for it. People don't want to mess it up, and they need someone they can rely on to keep up to date with all of these things and support them through that.
And so, in a way, I suppose it's great that that all these bits of legislation are changing all the time, or the regulations are changing. So it does give you this kind of very sticky service that you can offer to businesses, because once you have gained their trust and they know that you have the expertise they need, and they are really going to rely on you. And I don't know if this is true for you guys at TCS, but we hear time and time again that people keep their very first client. It's something that people, you're worth your weight in gold to your clients, and they're very reluctant to ever kind of move from you, which is why it can be such a great business. So you guys, you presumably have just really built that practice up over the years, but do you have some clients that kind of really just stick around?
Yeah, so we still have some of the clients that were there when I first started, and I think what's nice with how we hire and train our staff is that they really know every single team member, because living on an island, we actually physically go out and collect their paperwork on a daily basis because most of them are only a 5-minute walk from here. So if you start doing, the paperwork and scanning in the paperwork, you get to see our clients and build that relationship with them. And as you train and grow, they get to see you, pass your qualifications, and you kind of get to grow with the businesses, which is really nice.
That's fantastic. And also, you kind of touched on something interesting there about kind of things like scanning receipts and whether or not you go out and meet clients. And we definitely, I think, have a real blend at ICB of people who do like to go out and visit their clients. I know we've got some kind of high street bookkeepers, and their whole kind of ecosystem is being the bookkeeper for that community, and they're always out and about and on foot, and they're really well known in the community. Do you have some clients that you work with on a kind of purely kind of virtual remote basis? I mean, presumably there's technology that can facilitate that as well now.
Yeah, I think the majority of our clients are like physical shops and places that we can go to, but we do have a couple which are fully virtual, especially our UK clients. It's not as easy for us to just hop over and see them. But yeah, there's so many systems and softwares in terms of, scanning and receipts even. You don't need to physically have their paperwork. I had one client that would give me their paperwork in a literal shoebox, and then some people that scan it all over straight away. So there's variation even within that.
Wow. Annette, so I'm just hearing from Annette in the chat. You are currently running your own business, doing admin and a bit of bookkeeping, supporting small clients. And, it's really those small clients where bookkeepers can make the most difference often, I think. But, it's interesting. We've got a lot of kind of PAs and VAs that transition into bookkeeping. I think one of the amazing things about bookkeeping is that it's repeat business. So people need that bookkeeping done because they've got the tax man banging on the door if they don't. And people are really scared, partly because things keep changing, like we've discussed, but also because they just don't want to get in trouble. So it's this thing that there's a legal imperative to do, and it's something that needs to be done every single year. So unlike with admin, which of course is absolutely essential and everyone's got to do that as well, it is something that there's this kind of external incentive for businesses to get done. So I think that's why people really do start their business with no experience at all, just with a good qualification under their belt, and find that before they know it, they're turning business away. And we had a great quote on our website not too long ago where somebody said, I spoke to a potential client on the phone and I had to say, I'm sorry, I'm too busy. And they said, you're the 6th ICB bookkeeper that said that to me today. So there really is so much demand, and that's why I think it really is a really good time to become a bookkeeper now, if you're just thinking about it. One of the reasons for the increased demand is making tax digital. In April 2026, there are 750,000 sole traders and landlords who are going to have to start using commercial bookkeeping software, and they're going to have to prove that they're using it responsibly and properly. 4 times a year, they've got to submit figures to HMRC. And for a lot of these sole traders and landlords, they're not currently doing that. A lot of them are under the VAT threshold. VAT has had this a system of making tax digital for some years now. So VAT returns are commonly done online through this system. But for these sole traders and landlords, this is going to be totally new, and they are really looking to get support. And at ICB, we know that bookkeepers and payroll professionals have this amazing ability to offer the sort of support that these people need. And I say that because quite often it's very practical, it's very hands-on, it's very friendly. Our bookkeepers tend to be very approachable, and you're able to kind of do these sort of support businesses really it's a kind of a digital transition, I suppose, for a lot of businesses. I mean, Millie, do you guys ever come across clients that are just not using any kind of accounting software at all and need your help just merely to use it and understand it?
Yeah, I think people would be surprised how many people still do their bookkeeping in like spreadsheets, for example. But I think the whole digital transformation is something that is only going to get better. And I think bookkeepers are just getting more and more important with that because, we know this technology, we use it day in, day out. So a lot of people won't even know the names of, the core accounting softwares. So you're really in the best place to make recommendations and make changes and move people into the systems that work best for them and will benefit their business.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. And while I say there's 750,000 people affected in April 2026, that goes up. That will be a total of 1 million by the time it gets to the year following that. And eventually the idea is that all businesses are going to be having to prove this, that they are doing proper bookkeeping. So the fact that really the government is mandating digital bookkeeping is fantastic news for bookkeepers. And also, of course, it's fantastic news for those businesses because they're going to understand the position of their business, and hopefully they'll have a bookkeeper helping them, as Millie says, translate their numbers into actions and really get a handle on their business, because actually so many businesses are still failing every single year. Luckily, people are still setting them up, which is brilliant, but so many businesses fail, and the number one reason is poor cash flow. So businesses just sometimes not having the time to sit down with the accounts and realize that just because there's money in the bank, they can't necessarily spend it. You know, is it sometimes the simple things? I mean, I know also I've sort of run small businesses before working at ICB and throughout, and my husband runs a small business, but you know, he just, you know, his skill set is not looking at those numbers. I think I personally am always surprised at how many people just kind of break down when, you know, shown a set of accounts. You know, can you talk to me a bit about how much you guys really can make a change for businesses? Have you got any kind of specific examples of businesses you might have helped?
Yeah, so I think there's like an educational angle with some clients. Like you really do have to explain to them what certain aspects of their accounts means. So we've had one client in the past couple of years where it's really been like a weekly basis with them going over their cash flow, what money they actually have free to spend, what is actually going to be going, you know, to tax and social for your employees. Um, so it's like a weekly conversation that we've had to have with them about what they can do and can't do. And it's a time thing sometimes, especially with new businesses. They're really vulnerable in that first year, and they need to have someone that can really see the numbers clearly and spot where the issues might be arising.
There's a couple of questions actually from the chat, fairly similar. Makeda and Irvi, just wondering about what order to do stuff in. And Irvi specifically saying, Millie, do you think it's good to get your level 3 diploma under your belt and then start a job, or try and do it at the same time?
So I did it at the same time. I think it's nice doing it at the same time because you can then apply that knowledge and understand what it's talking about. But I think it would depend on the role. You don't want to start doing too much and then maybe learn some bad habits that you then realize when you're studying maybe isn't the correct way to do. And there can be a bit of like a miscommunication between the way you're doing your work and what you're trying to study. So as long as you can keep those two things relatively separate, I think studying and working at the same time is quite a good way of doing it.
Which also is a good link into apprenticeships. ICB is also an apprenticeship provider, in the sense that we can be an endpoint awarding organisation for an apprenticeship. So if you've got any questions about becoming an apprentice, again, give us a call and we can help you with that. And there's some information on our website. But effectively, an apprenticeship is a formal route into earning while you're learning, and you can actually get a paid placement within a business. And as part of that, you'll spend 20% of your working week in training. And that training can take pretty much any form. You will need to be with a recognised training provider, but it could be online stuff, it could be in person at a college. And so that's kind of also another flexible route into it. But I guess, yeah, the benefit of doing your training while you're in work is you're getting paid, I suppose, isn't it, Millie? So you don't, and then particularly kind of coming out of the COVID years as well, you need that kind of stability. But for you, Millie, what do you think is what does the future hold? I mean, is this kind of a career that you think you'll keep for life? Is there such a thing as a career for life these days?
I'd like to think this will be my career for life. I think as bookkeeping evolves, you know, new roles will come up. Bookkeepers will start doing more and different things, and as that grows, then so will TCS and our roles. I definitely would like to be within the ICB community and you know supporting small businesses because that's what I find fun and what I enjoy doing every day. So I think it is a career for life if you want it to be.
Very exciting. And then you guys obviously expanding into the UK as well. And I know Tim, your boss, is always at events and is always just has such a wonderful energy, super smart guy, obviously is very good at hiring people, but I know now he's got your help as his head of operations. But it's wonderful to see you guys giving back to the community as well. And Tim's been on various webinars helping people understand how to do hospitality accounts, because it's not easy. And even Kirsty St. John, who is, I know she's on this chat somewhere, who's the chair of our advisory council and one of our branch chairs. So I would never touch another pub. And I heard her say it almost every month for a year. And then she was like, you know what, now I've got a solution, because I will pass those clients on to Tim Chilston and TCS Guernsey. So there is just so many different routes into this profession, and once you're qualified, so many different ways that you can take your career. And you know, at the very least, you could use this in any business that you start up yourself, even if you don't want to be a professional bookkeeper forever. I know that I probably, there are a couple of questions here, but that we haven't managed to get to, but I'm conscious of time, and I want to wrap up. But hello, Kakoma from Zambia. Very nice to hear from you. And you know, if you have got qualifications from the big guys like ACCA, ICAW, AAT, of course, you can join us by exemption. We'll give you a recording for this webinar later, but at the beginning I did say that if you've got an AAT qualification or you're an AAT QB, you can get an exemption into the fast track route. Jenny, you've asked how long it takes. How long is a piece of string, I might say, but we have a textbook that you could order today from the website if you want to see what is involved in the extra learning. But effectively, it's about doing year-end kind of internal final accounts, kind of getting those accounts ready to pass on to, say, a bookkeeper or a qualified certified bookkeeper. It's about getting those accounts ready for limited companies. And so that's the kind of big chunk of learning that we would require you to take. We call it fast track though, because we try and make it nice and straightforward. And at the end of it, once you've done the learning, you've got an online exam. So just to kind of repeat that again, all of our qualifications are available online and on demand. And we do have an exemption route if you've got experience or other qualifications that we recognise. And really, if you've got any questions at all, no matter how silly, because we don't believe in silly questions here at ICB, just ask us the questions and give us a call, because we've got a very friendly team and we love to hear from you guys. We very much are the home of UK bookkeepers, and we just completely specialise in bookkeeping, and we recognise that bookkeepers are very different and incredibly valuable. And really, you're the ones that are going to be keeping the future of the UK and Guernsey's and Jersey's economy together. Bookkeepers are absolutely invaluable. So we're here to support you on this tremendous journey. Final words from you, Millie, if you don't mind. I have loved hearing your story today. I find you completely inspiring. Do you have any advice for anybody who's kind of at the very start of this journey? You know, they might have experience, or this might be completely new to them. Any words of advice?
I would say to definitely just reach out to the community, and you'll have all the support that you need. If anybody has any, student questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. I'll answer any questions you might have. But yeah, I think, just do it and it will work out fine in the end.
Just do it. We could all just
Yeah.
do a bit more just do it attitude, couldn't we? Don't expect to be perfect. We're all in this together. So wonderful. Have a fantastic rest of your day, everybody. And thank you ever so much, Millie.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks very much, everybody. Bye-bye.